Hello, everyone. We are so glad that you're joining us this afternoon. I'm here having a chat with a few members from the Greenfirm team, and our chat today is going to be about the Forest Policy 2020, and we're just trying to talk around why should we review policies, why should this be a part and parcel of every citizen of Kenya. So probably I would start with Rebecca. Tell me how you're doing. It's been a while. We have not seen each other since coronavirus pandemic began. How are you doing?
Doing great. I'm taking care of myself. I just read a quote before we got on board here. It says, be mindful, take care of your headspace because you stay there for a very long time. So right now people are talking about spaces, green spaces, taking care of your home space, urban space, office space, because collection is space. Make sure you're taking care of your mind space because you dwell there for a very long time.
Awesome.
Happy to have this conversation with everyone.
Okay. You raised a very important point, and we're going to keep that in check, that we have to take care of our mental health. Rukia, how are you doing?
Hi, Edith. I'm doing okay. It's been hot and cold out here in Nairobi, so just trying to go with the flow of that weather. But I'm doing fine. I'm grateful to God, and I'm super excited for this conversation. Yeah, over to you.
Awesome. Glad to have you here with us. Noreen Kahaso, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I've named all my chickens here in the shamba, so that's keeping me busy. Yeah, back to you, Edie.
Thank you so much, Noreen. I feel like among all of us, you have had the most of the quarantine period with awesome projects in the village, or in the shamba, as you want to put it. I am so excited to have each and every one of you here in this conversation. So let us just brush through our thoughts of why is it important for all of us to be involved in, reviews of policies? Why do you think it is important to you? Kahaso?
I'd say things change, like technology, regulations, and all that. So reviewing a policy is important because it will help us get the best practices at that particular time.
Awesome. You raised such an important point. Yeah, because I also think that it is important to, just keep updating as we go, because the situations at the time of writing the policy may change, or are supposed to change really with the introduction of a policy. So should a situation change and we experience, different problems or newer stakeholders coming up, then it is important to update the policy as per the change. So I really like that you have raised that. Rukia, any thoughts around this? Why do you think it's important for every person really to just take part in a policy review process?
Thank you so much, Edith. And yeah, plus on what Kahaso mentioned around, like, things are constantly on the change and on the move. So that's a crucial part. And I guess if you have a certain passion, you need to keep up with that move. So looking at how, like, what you're passionate about moves as well, like what are the changes in the niche that you're working around. So if you're a food security expert, you need to review what's coming up or what's changing in that section or that niche of your work as well. So that will be my thoughts around that process. I guess I'd like to know what Rebecca thinks as well.
I'll say triple plus on everything you've talked about. First of all, it's important because things are changing and we need to update with current affairs, and of course introduction of policies with it comes a change. The other thing you've talked about is the niche, and you realize, like, when you talk about policies, in as much as what we'll be talking in our videos to come will be on the forest policy, but you realize how cross-cutting things are, that it's impossible just to talk about forest and not talk about other sectors of the economy or of the society that are affected by policy introduction. So with that, my point is, we need to participate in policy reviews and air out our comments and critique the documents that are presented before us, because it is our role and responsibility as citizens. The Constitution gives us that right. Public participation is something that we need to take part, it's something that is very important for us as Kenyans. And depending on which part of the world or country you're watching us in this video, it's very important to be able to participate, because sometimes you realize that some policies are presented, and if you did not participate at the onset, it might be difficult for you to air out your comments, or it will be too late to make any changes. But when you participate in such processes, policy reviews, giving your comments as a member of the public, or as a citizen of Kenya, or as a citizen of the world, you're able to voice out what is important to you, not only in terms of your niche, but it's your civic duty, so to speak. I know we don't talk about that, especially in this era where we have had our own share of how governance is run, but it's never too late to be able to participate in public policies, or policies, whichever angle, whether you're from academic, whichever place you're from. It's very integral for us, for growth and for good governance.
I really like what you have said, and I agree that public participation is one of the foundational principles of democracy. And if we call ourselves a democratic country, then we really need to, pull our weight as citizens and try to, oversight the government based on the policies that we have already. So back to you, Rebecca. What are your thoughts on the Forest Policy 2020? What did you, what really, really stuck out for you?
Thank you for that question, Edith. One thing that struck is I have my own bias. As Rukia was talking about niche, so for me, I was reading the policy from my niche, from the comfort of me being an environmentalist and someone who is keen on research. So from the onset, when I opened the document, I was like, where are the research wordings in the document? If I didn't do this, but sometimes I do this when I'm doing reviews. I would do like a search, what do you call it, a key search on the word research. But I didn't do that. I was not that biased in regards to the forest policy, and I was keen on seeing how research has been mentioned in the policy review. What are the opportunities that have opened up as a result of this, that will open up eventually as a result of this Forest Policy 2020? Where are the gaps that are currently, if the policy was able to adequately present the gaps in its situation analysis? And the other thing that I looked into is how it's able to address those gaps, not only in terms of opportunities, but also problems, because I'm coming from this background, like, many times we face problems in the environment because we find that there was not sufficient scientific evidence to be able to, either advocate for a particular decision, or to be able to push for a particular maybe policy change, or like even act, or even funding a particular project in the government. So I was very keen on seeing whether the policy addresses the research gaps and also has given it the attention that it deserves in regards to policy and forest policy, and how it will integrate researchers and research institutions, the academia, universities and colleges, just to make sure that everyone is speaking in the same voice and the scientific evidence when you're talking about moving forward and changing forest conservation in Kenya.
Thank you so much for that one. I do believe that policies are really based upon evidence, or good policies are supposed to be based upon evidence. And so thank you for highlighting that that is your niche. And I'm sure we're going to be relying on you a lot, even as we review the policy as a firm. Thoughts, Rukia? Maybe you could react to what Rebecca had said, as well as give us your thoughts so far.
Thank you, Edith. 100%. Like, when you're reviewing that policy, especially as a researcher, as Becky mentioned, like, it's keen to see the situation analysis around that were mentioned around that work, and how that's going to be impacting the new policy that's going to come up later. For my section, mainly, I guess I was also like biased as well. And I guess we'll touch more on this in terms of like how like tips and tricks in terms of reviewing policy. And this is like another trick where you look at what's your niche and what are you really interested in when you're looking in that policy. And when I was checking it out, like my main interest was around how this new policy is way different from that last one. And number one is that I like how they were trying to tie in from the Constitution 2020, but sorry, 2010. Oh my God. So like the fact that the Constitution changed, but then the policy hadn't changed, and they're trying to align that. In parts of amongst the few parts that they tried to align was the climate change section, where they were speaking around like how do forests will be impacting in terms of reducing the climate impacts, threats to the environment and climate change, and also aspects around opportunities around like forestry and climate change as well. So that was something that I was really, really happy and glad to see that was covered in that policy as well. So yeah, those were my few one, two thoughts on that. And I guess I would like to hear more so from Kahaso as well.
Okay, so my main thoughts were on the trade and industry sector, because the policy wants us, we are targeting the 10% area cover, land area cover. So involving the private sector and trying to find a way for us to work together and, get the 10% cover.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Kahaso. I actually agree because, the forest cover has been shrinking over the years, and it's really it's a responsibility pegged upon each and every one of us, and not just KFS alone, to ensure that we try to build up the forest cover, seeing the numerous benefits that forests have to, our ecosystem. So I really like that point of the forest cover. I don't know if we have any final thoughts before we pull this to a close, because, just short and concise, nice, having our thoughts together. Yeah.
I think I would say, if you're watching us, it might seem so random having a group of young ladies talking about forest policy. It almost seems as though it's far-fetched if you've not been following the conversation, so to speak. But for those who are passionate about the environment, or those who are curious to learn about the environment, I think it's high time as young people we're able to take part in these conversations. Whenever we have such opportunities, we need to plug in. Plugging in can take different shapes and forms, but at the end of the day, we're trying to push for positive vibes around, environmentalism, and ensuring that we are well informed, because when you're not informed, we tend to make very poor decisions. But through this policy, hopefully through the thoughts we've shared, all of us, you've learned something, and for sure you who's watching, you've learned something. So sounds like a conclusion, but over to you, Edith.
Thank you so much, Becky. That was you did a good job at wrapping up this video, and I would think, just look out for our next video where we talk about tips and tricks. What have we done ourselves, even as we tried to review the policies? What tricks have we used? And I'm really, really curious to hear from each and every team member. Okay, bye.